Okay, so post eviction court hearing updates. So we basically got a continuance. The landlord showed up. It was not his daughter-in-law, who is the one that picks up the rent for him, but he showed up via phone. We showed up via Zoom, and basically the magistrate gave us a continuance until April 7th so that we can come up with money, because excuse me, I have the hiccups because I was drinking flavored water. But anyways, the magistrate gave us a continuance until April 7th because apparently in our county that we live in, there's a new COVID rental assistance program, and the magistrate thinks that it should be up and running within like a week and a half. So originally he was going to give us a continuance for 2 weeks, but then he said that as long as the landlord agreed to it, he would give us until April 7th to come up with like March rent and everything, and make sure that everything is covered. So our utilities are covered. Like, there's no issue with that. We just got down to where our credit wouldn't cover next month's bill. But as of now, we're paid up, and we have a credit of like $3.78 left on our account. But I feel relieved because I feel like this gives us a little bit of breathing room to try to figure things out without having to lose our place to live. And obviously my mother-in-law's house is still an option if things don't work out by April 7th. I already texted her to let her know. Sorry, my husband came back home because he was talking to the neighbor. He went for a walk to kind of clear his mind, but he was talking to the neighbor, and the neighbor gave us some little treats for Willow. So, I mean, I'm relieved, but at the same time, I just wish that like the landlord's daughter-in-law had contacted us before filing the eviction, because I feel like, yes, I understand that you need your money. I get it. I totally understand. But at the same time, I feel like, I don't know, it's hard for me to like explain how I feel right now because my mind is like a million and one places. I had honestly thought that going to eviction court today would have ended up with them granting the eviction, which would have meant that, we had a short amount of time to move out. But thankfully, it didn't end up going that way. I just don't know where to go from here. Like, obviously, we have places to call to figure out, like, rental assistance long term, and trying to pull us up out of this hole that we are in. But again, if it doesn't work, we do have my mother-in-law's house as an option, as a last resort if we can't get stuff figured out. But it is a big weight off my shoulders because at least we have a house to stay in until April 7th. So at least we won't be homeless until then. We just have to like figure out all this stuff. And I'm hoping that now, like with us being able to be here until April, I'm hoping that I'll at least be able to see my flowers. I'm hoping, honestly, that we'll be able to stay like longer than just April. But I'm still like working on finding a job and trying to get that stuff situated. And I feel like unless that happens, unless I like start making income consistently, then like we're not going to be able to pull ourselves up out of this hole. Like, I do drive, or I do Shipt. I just signed up for Grubhub, and I have to figure out what's wrong with my DoorDash account, because if I have to do that to make money, then that's what I will do. because we have to be able to eat. We have to be able to get the dogs food. We have to be able to, you know, get gas for the car, because especially now that my husband is working, we have to go to a neighboring town every day. Every day that he's scheduled, so that he can work his night shift and then come home, because he can't drive. So I have to drop him off at 10 and pick him up at 6. So, and that starts tomorrow because his day shifts are over with. But my husband is probably going to be making a video later on today about how he feels about court. Like, the magistrate was definitely taking no shit today, because the landlord came on, and he didn't come on via video, he came on via telephone over Zoom. So I don't know if he couldn't hear very well, but the magistrate was asking us questions, and the landlord was basically answering the questions for us. And I mean, the landlord did admit that we gave him the $800 when the eviction papers had said $1,000 was what was due. And so that looked good in our favor. He did say that we had talked to him. We were communicating with him about like what we were able to pay. And, you know, it's not that we're trying to fuck over the landlord. It's not that we're trying to, you know, lose the house. But it's like crunch time where it's hard for us to figure out how to keep the house with everything going on. And I was really feeling emotional before court. Like, I broke down crying. I told my husband, like, I just don't understand how they can say that we can't go to court due to COVID because they don't want exposures and all that, but then they would evict you during COVID. And the landlord knows that, like, we don't really have a place to stay other than, like, you know, we could live in one tiny room at my mother-in-law's house with a huge Great Dane who would take up most of the floor, you know. And I actually had reserved a storage unit last night because I didn't know how today was going to go. So I reserved a storage unit just in case. And we're going to have to call and cancel that just because, you know, we don't know if we're going to move out, and if we do have to move out, then we don't know exactly when. So I had reserved it to start moving stuff in on Friday because I just assumed that it was going to go bad today. So it is what it is. I'm happy that, you know, they didn't just grant the eviction, but at the same time, I'm like so stressed out because we still have to get all this stuff together to make this work, you know, and we need to figure out how to make this keep going. So, anyways, I'm going to watch some YouTube to try to calm my mind. And then tomorrow we will start, like, calling places for rent assistance and, you know, trying to get everything together.